Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled and get your free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. More information about this later, but let's get into the podcast for now. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Jumbled, your favorite podcast about nothing. I'm Zach. And hey, guys, it's me, all by myself. Again, how did we get here? Well, Jonny is in San Antonio, I believe, Texas for sure. But I'm pretty sure he's in San Antonio. Maybe he's just touring the entire area. Not quite sure. He did have... he sent me a text to remind me to ask him to remember something, so... We'll have to touch base on what that is next week. Little teaser for when me and Jonny are back recording together. Finally, man, it's been a bit. It feels, realistically, it's been a couple weeks, but it feels like it's been longer. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed last week's episode. I really loved it. It's sort of cool to see Jonny sort of transforming into a I don't think he would claim himself as a podcaster specifically because he does so much, but he's getting better at doing this podcasting stuff. Hopefully he would say that. I think he's been he's been good at it for a long time. Ever since we first asked him to record audio and send it to us, I thought he's got a knack for it, and I hope you guys thought that as well. Maybe I need to take some more vacations because Jonny he killed it, and I really appreciate Jonny stepping in and taking care of doing that one for me because it's been freaking busy recently, so. And it doesn't look like it's going to be getting any less busy for me. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to make some extra money on the side with some Ubering. I'm doing some studying to get some IT certifications, and all the while trying to figure out time to work out and satisfy Jonny's his little challenge that he's made for me. Admittedly, I'm probably going to end up having to go take some time on the mat with Jonny, and we'll see how that goes. It's probably not going to go well, but the hope is that I can keep that to a minimum. But anyway, I really appreciate the community that of people we have who have been not only giving me some topics to discuss this week, which I have a good amount of stuff here, but people that gave Jonny some material to discuss as well. It helps us out a lot to have interaction from you guys and to know that you guys are listening. Makes it all the more better. So if you guys ever have questions for us, feel free to send them along. Send us a message on Facebook. Send them through as questions in an email. Maybe we take some time every week to discuss, listener email or a comment or something like that. We want to hear more from you guys. So, if you have anything you want to say, any thoughts about how we're doing, things we could be doing better, we're okay with taking some constructive criticism. Just make sure it's constructive and not just criticism. Because if it's rude and it's mean, hey, you know what? We're just going to keep it moving because while we appreciate you, we're not going to focus on the negative stuff. We're trying to get better at this. So help us get better. And, even it doesn't have to be criticism at all. It can just be, it can be stories of your own. It can be if you want some advice on how to handle a situation. We're probably the worst people you could ever ask for advice, but feel free to send all that stuff our way. We're looking to interact more with you guys, and what better way to do that than almost directly. It's indirect, but it's direct. It's secondhand directness. So I guess I'll just get into it. Well, first of all, like I said, I've been doing a lot of Ubering recently. I talked about having to take that one dude home who kept talking about my dick for some reason. I don't know why he did. It was really weird. There have been so many things that have happened. Some sort of negative ones recently, but not going to keep me off the road. I guess the first thing to jump into, I'm sort of, it's never in the forefront of my mind, but there's this sneaking suspicion in the back of my head that I should have some sort of form of, I don't know, like a weapon or something of some sort, just to keep myself safe if shit goes south. I had a guy, and this is probably to date my craziest experience for Uber. But so I live in Kansas City. The pickup was in this district known as Westport. Now, Westport is a very popular spot for more of the younger crowd, honestly. It's like college-age kids who, just looking to get out. On the night they have some bars and clubs and stuff down in that area. And it is a zoo on Fridays and Saturdays. Like, you have all these people in all these cars, and all they're trying to do is just pick people up left and right. Just picking people up and dropping them off. So I get this guy hails an Uber, says he's going to this hotel, or he's at this hotel, and he needs to be picked up. So I'm like, cool. So I pull into the hotel, and I'm in the little pickup drop off area underneath the overhang of the hotel, and I'm waiting. And it, for Uber, you got 3 minutes, and then they start charging you per minute. Or I guess per second. They charge you for the time that I have to wait there on you. So I get a call after the initial wait time goes, and he's being charged. So he gives me a call. I'm like, hello. He's like, hey, where are you? I was like, well, first of all, I'm Zach, your Uber driver. I am sitting in at the front of the hotel underneath the overhang. And he's like, oh, what hotel? I'm like, well, it's blah, blah, blah. It's this hotel. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm on my way. So this guy wasn't even there. Number one, start off. Okay. I don't know if it's a restriction in the area that he couldn't drop a pin closer to where he is or what, but you're not starting off on a good foot if you're sending me somewhere where you're not. So if you're seeing that your pin has dropped somewhere else, you should be at that spot that I'm going to. Just for convenience of yourself and for me, so I don't have to hunt you down. So anyway, I'm waiting. Probably another 45 seconds passes. And I see this guy sort of like sprinting to my car. And anytime you see somebody sprinting and everybody else is just walking, it's sort of terrifying. It's like, what do they know that I don't know? It's one of those moments. And so he hops in the car, and then I noticed that he was sprinting, and behind him a little bit, there were these two dudes who were also running, but not with him. It seemed like they were running after him. So the guy hopped in the car, and these other two dudes tried to jump in my car too. And the rider was like, I don't know those guys, let's go. So I just have to peel out of there like I'm part of some heist now. Like, it seems like he just stole some diamonds or something, and I'm fucking an accomplice to this shit. I don't know if that's the case. Number one, let me say, if this dude got busted for some shit, I was just giving this dude an Uber ride. So let me just put that out in the atmosphere, just in case. So he hops in, and I start driving, and get to where it says I need to take him. This dude, by the way, obliterated drunk. Way too drunk. Sorry. Way too drunk. And this was like the like right when the tournament started up, the NCAA tournament. So, or maybe it was during the, I don't recall. Maybe it wasn't the tournament, but it was, some late season basketball anyway. He was talking about his team. I forget who it was, Iowa State or something maybe. But we get to the spot that he said he was going to, and he's like, "Wait a second, this isn't where I want to go." I was like, "Okay, well," I read off the address, which is something that I've been doing more like at the beginning of the ride now, because of this situation. So he leads me to the first spot, says, "No, this isn't the spot." So I said, "Okay, in your app, go just change where we're headed." So he goes in and he types the address in. First of all, the address he put in, he must have just like or he saw some like results pull through and he just tapped the first one, which is probably the closest one because it wasn't even the right city. I needed to go somewhere else. So he put the right address in, and the next address took me to the end of a road. Like literally the end of a road. Like there wasn't even a street light. I was like, am I getting ready to like, is this guy gonna like off me and like drag me into like a ditch or something? Like that's sort of just what it felt like, because the whole ride up to this point has not had, it didn't start well. It's not going well. And, as you'll hear, it does not end well. So he's like, "No, this isn't right either. Okay, well, he's like, "I don't know why this isn't picking it up. I'm just going to get my own phone out." I was like, "Okay, get your own phone out." So he gets his phone out, he types in the address, whatever, and then Google Maps is telling us where to go. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. As long as we get this guy to wherever he needs. He's already been in my car for over 20 minutes at this point. This is slowly turning into the worst night ever. So I take him. I'm on my way to take him where he needs to get. Again, let me remind you, this guy's got his phone on full blast, and I am listening to some soft music as well as the turn-by-turn directions from his own GPS, trying to understand where I'm going. And he's drunk, and he's slipping in and out of consciousness, so I'm really having to focus hard on that. So so we're going, and then he sort of wakes up enough to turn on Spotify on his phone. So now it's like, oh, well, my music apparently isn't good enough, and that's fine. But instead of like asking me to turn on something specific, he just went ahead and went rogue and turned on his own stuff. So he turned on this Spotify playlist that he had, and it was it was all these weird songs. Like, well, I know the first one was Super Bass by Nicki Minaj. Like, I don't have a problem with Nicki Minaj at all, but what a strange song to have just on a Spotify playlist. And he was only playing the first verse. This one is for the boys in the boom system. That first verse, he's playing it up until "Boy, you got my heartbeat running away." So he's playing that whole first verse, and then it gets to the end of the verse, and he pauses the song, and then he scrubs it back to the beginning, and he plays it again. Number one, I get it. You like a certain part of a song, okay? You gotta understand the setting that you're in, right? I have times where I'm in my car by myself, or I have my headphones in, and I like a certain part of a song, and I'll repeat it. I'll repeat it over and over again. But this guy's sitting in a car with a complete stranger in an Uber on his own phone, passing in and out of consciousness, and replaying the first verse of Super Bass by Nicki Minaj. I'm not lying to you. This happened for over 5 minutes. That's no shit. This guy played the first verse over and over again of Super Bass by Nicki Minaj Then he played the "Ooh, what you say," but not the original one. It was the Jason Derulo song. So he played that for another few minutes, and then what did he end off with? Oh God, I wish I could think of it right now. I can't think of it, but whatever song it was, he was. Oh, it was "Take Me Home Tonight." This guy's singing some Eddie Money. Well, and I should say, the entire time he's been culling through the Spotify playlist, he's been pulling out bits and pieces of the lyrics that his brain remembers, but this guy can't carry a tune in a bucket. And that's not a problem. If you can't sing, you know what? Everybody's got their thing, right? Some people can't sing, and that's cool. You enjoy the song, you try to sing along with it, whatever. As long as you're having fun with it, I don't care. But there's a difference when you're muttering it under your breath or you're singing at a reasonable volume. This dude couldn't sing, so instead of dialing it back a little bit, he turned it all the way up to motherfucking 12, and then he was scream singing the lyrics to all of the songs, but only the parts that he knew. So obviously for the Eddie Money song, he didn't know he didn't know any of the verses. But you bet your sweet ass, when it got around to the chorus, he knew all those words, and he screamed them like he got stabbed in the shoulder. And he was just screaming it to try to drown out the pain that was coursing through his body. This dude was a disaster. He's a dumpster fire of a Uber rider. So finally, I get him to his destination. He hops out. I don't say a single goddamn word to him. Well, first of all, he's talking a big game the entire time. He's like, "Oh, dude, I'm sorry for all this. I'm sorry for all the fucking mess ups and whatnot. I'm gonna tip you big, man. I'm gonna tip you real big." I'm like, okay, well, at least this might be worth it. At least this might be worth it. At least might be worth my time. At this point, I think it was 3:00, something like that. The bars were closing up. The dude was ending his night, and so I was like, okay, at least this end of the night is going to be okay monetarily. And so I get him to his destination, and he hopped out of my car, and here's the moment I knew I wasn't going to get a tip. The moment. And I don't expect a cash tip up front. Like, that's just something you can do in Uber. You can tip in the app, But he hopped out of my car, he closed my door, and then he ran away full speed. He didn't, he wasn't, he was probably, I don't know, 20 feet from, or 20, I don't know, at the most he was 15 yards away from his front door. He had to walk up a driveway and shit like that. I'm not good at guessing measurement, because my brain just can't put that together on the spot. But that's the moment I knew. He hopped out of the car and didn't wave, didn't acknowledge me. He hopped out, closed the door, and then he did some sort of weird cocaine sprint to his front door. And it was right there that I was like, this isn't going to be good. I'm not going to get a tip. So I went ahead and gave him a 1-star review. He didn't make a mess in my car. He didn't spill anything or, damage my vehicle in any way. But he was a nightmare of a rider. And I wanted his rating to be reflective of that. So I gave him a bad rating. And I think it was deserved. But I turn around the next morning. By the way, my Uber rating is a 4.97. Okay, I treat my riders like royalty. Okay, like royalty that came out of a trailer park. Like trailer park royalty is what I treat them like. They have little waters. Okay, like the little mini bottle of waters, and then they everybody gets offered a mint, one of those little lifesavers wintergreen mints. I offer everybody that whenever they get in the car. And I have a whole bag in the back of my trunk with more waters that I constantly pull over, get more out during the night, restock my car, just so when the people get in, it's sitting right there for them if they want it. I really don't even have to offer it, but it's there. And so, I yeah, I offered him all the stuff, and he apparently thought I didn't do a good enough job getting him to his destination, even though he messed up all these times, and I had to try to understand where I was going over the top of "Take Me Home Tonight," but in a screaming version. This dude sounded like he was having a night terror, but it was about an Eddie Money music video. It was ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. And it's laughable now, but I was so frustrated in the moment. And I hope there are more moments like that. It's sort of masochistic, to say that, but because I'm putting myself through a bad time. But it makes for really funny stories. And I would like to have more funny stories to tell that are like that. So that guy, I'm pretty sure, is the reason I have my sole 1-star rating. Every other, it's like 100. I don't have my phone on me. It's charging right now. It's like 117 5-star ratings. No 4s, no 3s, no 2s. 1-star rating. And I'm pretty much going to guarantee it was that dude. And he probably did it in a drunken fit. So, I'm a little salty over that, as you can tell, because I would really like that pristine 5-star. But fortunately, Uber only holds on to the most recent 500 ratings, so that 1-star will fall off eventually. I just hope that there's not some other drunk asshole that gives me a 1-star in the meantime. So that's one Uber story. I've got more Uber stories. One recently, chick threw up in my car. There's not much to it. She threw up in my car. She was at that level of drunk when she hopped in, where she was proclaiming that she didn't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't even give a fuck. She just kept saying it over and over again. And I was like, okay, yeah, cool. You don't give a fuck. Sweet. She was with her friend. Her friend was drunk, but not as drunk. And so we were carrying on a conversation, me and her friend. And halfway through the conversation, I look over and the drunk girl is just passed out, leaning against my door. I'm like, okay, it's going to be a quiet ride for her to get back. And her friend's like, oh, don't worry. I've never known her to throw up. And right there, that should have been another red flag that, hey, this might be a possibility. I really need to invest in some puke bags. But my thing is, like, she's passed out. She wouldn't have known that she was going to throw up. And so she likely would have thrown up and made a mess regardless. Even if I had a puke bag, she probably wouldn't have used it. So, or hid it. So I look over, she's passed out. Her friend, says she's not known for puking. I'm like, okay, cool. And so we're maybe, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds away from the destination, right? Just down the road. And I'm waiting to turn because there's a little bit of traffic, and I hear like a gurgle, like a gurgle sound. And I'm like, what was that? So I look back at her friend, and her friend's like, oh no, she's fine, and she's just sleeping. Maybe it was like some little weird throat burp or something. I'm like, okay, whatever. At this point, I'm still thinking, maybe it feels a little shakier, but maybe we'll just be able to get him home. So I turn. We're heading literally down the road to where their destination is, and then the puke happens again. So I have to pull to the side of the road. We fling the door open. She pukes out of the car more. In the process of puking all over the place, she somehow yanked whatever drink she had off into my floor mats. I have the all-weather floor mats, so it was easy to clean off the floor mat, but there's like a little lake of whatever fruity orange juice, mango shit they were drinking that night. I'm pretty sure was was just hanging out in my floorboards along with some vomit. And so, she threw up in my car. And then Uber, I submitted pictures to them. They paid me for it, but it was like, now I've only had this car for a month and I've already had somebody throw up in it. Joe has been Ubering, for a long time. I mean, not consistently anymore, but he's been at this. He's done this for longer than I have, and he's never had anybody throw up in his car. And that's like a bragging point of his. He's never had anybody throw up in his car. And so, hey, Joe, you know what? Screw you, man. Because I feel like you put that on me. I feel like that was a little bit of voodoo that you did, and it's not appreciated. And I just want to make that known. She threw up in the car, and I had to pull over to the side of the road after I dropped them off and sped away. I didn't ever want to see them ever again, because I don't. But I pulled over to the side of the road, right outside of right at the entrance of their subdivision, right by the gate or whatever for the subdivision. I pulled out my all-weather floor mat. I dumped out whatever that fruity shit was. And then I've got a box of tissues in the car just in case this kind of thing happens. And so I spent the next, 15 minutes cleaning my car, trying to wipe up what I could after I submitted everything to Uber, obviously. And but once somebody throws up in your car, you're done. You're done for the night. So I had to turn around and go home. It's 40 something degrees outside, still sort of cold. So it's it sucks to be outside having to do anything. And I'm out doing the worst thing, which is cleaning up vomit and all that stuff. So I had to put a bunch of baking soda all over my carpet in my car, and the next day I just let it bake all day long, just to dry out as much as I could, take the floor mats out and clean those off. So I mean, the car is fine. It's clean. I wiped it all down. Was very, very thorough with it. Didn't want to leave any trace of that nonsense behind, but it just sucks that it had to happen, But the cleaning fee was worth it. I mean, there's 150 bones added on to the end of the night, so that's an expensive trip for that person. But I don't feel bad for doing it. If you're wondering if I feel bad, no, I don't. I did want to cover some other topics because I know so far it's only been 2 Uber stories. So let's get into some of these other topics. Number one, from Instagram, I have 2 topics. Number one, a very interesting question from Jonny, actually. It says, why Jonny is better looking than Zach? Very original, Jonny. I feel like you answered a similar question. I feel like we covered the fact that I look better than you. But if we're playing devil's advocate here, I would just say, physique. And probably testicle size. You got big testicles, so that's and I know people can't see those from the outside, from the outset. But if you're wearing shorts, there you go. Grapefruit's that guy. It's like some farm fresh eggs. You ever seen some non-GMO, just some ridiculously big hen just lays some monster? It's like a turkey egg, or like a small ostrich egg. It's like if an ostrich was only 3 feet tall. That's what each Jonny testicle looks like. If you guys wanted to know, I don't have pictures or anything that I could show you, unfortunately. But probably testicle size, Jonny. Another friend of mine, Joffrey, says, talk about why men like sex much more than women do. I think that's a generalization, honestly, and I feel like I wouldn't say that men like sex much more than women do. I think that we just process it differently, right? It's guys are just sort of straight to the point and sort of always thinking about it, but we're also a lot more vocal about it. I feel like generally women are a little bit more reserved with their sexual thoughts. So it doesn't come out from the get-go, but they're still having them. They're still having those thoughts. So I think it's a generalization to say that men like sex more than women do. I think we just probably think about it more, honestly. But I don't think we like it more than women do, because humans are sexual natures, or sexual creatures by nature. So Joffrey, I appreciate that question, but I am going to disagree with your statement, if that makes sense. I'm part of a Facebook group called Just Fucking At Me Next Time, Damn. And they're pretty much the meme kings. It's a closed group. I don't know if you'll even be able to find it if you search it, but it's bomb. It's a bomb ass group. So I asked the group and I said, hey, I'm getting ready to record a solo podcast. Would really appreciate some topics, and they had some stuff. They wanted me to talk about. Just a few things, not too much, but the first thing somebody requested I do was to read about popular April Fool's stories from this year. I've not yet looked that up, but I will see if I can get that pulled up while I'm going over the rest of this stuff. The next person, just a general statement. Ducks have corkscrew peens. Now, I've heard about this before, actually. And I do believe it's because they're floating on water when they're doing it. And so the duck dick is, it's odd just by nature of having to grab on and hold on while they're floating around. And, because just try to think of try to have sex in the ocean, right? But you're having like doggy style sex in the ocean, right? You both have to try to swim and have sex at the same time, and you got to move in the same direction at the same pace and the same speed. So I would think that's probably why. I am looking up, hey, NSA. I am looking up duck penis right now, and just don't think weird of me. Let's see here. A sexual arms race. This is from BuzzFeed, by the way, so fake news, but here we go. A sexual arms race, quote unquote, is the phrase most often used to describe duck genitalia, and it's not hard to see why. Male ducks have corkscrew penises. It's true. Look away now if you don't want to see a duck penis gif. And it says, warning, this image is graphic. Click to reveal. Hey, looks like we all have to do it, right? So here we go. All right. Oh, there it is. Oh, shit. Dude, that's wild. It is. It's like a weird alien. Oh, my God. And it looks to be about a half foot in length, I'm guessing. So it's, it's pretty awesome. But, and it looks like the female ducks have corkscrew vaginas. So that's why. They got a lock. Let's see here. Oh, see, and this is this is why I hate ducks. Male ducks are notorious for attempting forced copulation with females. So pretty much they're raping. It's duck rape, pretty much. It says oh man, that's wild. So the females have adapted to make it hard for a male duck to actually inseminate them if they don't want it to. So they actually have a way to shut that shit down. You remember that senator? Oh my God. The senator, I don't know, years ago, but he's a Republican, and he said, a woman's body has a way of shutting that shit down if they don't want to get pregnant when they're getting raped. And it's awful. That's an awful statement to say, because it's just not true, number one. But looks like ducks, I guess, have adapted. They've been raped so much by the male ducks. They're like, I want to make sure that this asshole duck isn't going to be the one that fathers my ducklings. That's pretty badass, actually. Man, only 3% of duck inseminations come from forced copulation. 97% are desired. How do they determine that? How do they determine that a duck wanted it or didn't want it? Because there's no way for a duck to vocalize that. I don't know. Maybe there's got to be some duck experts out there that can that could probably lend to this. But yeah, that's pretty wild. That's pretty wild, dude. So hey, thank you to Cassie for that great topic there. Made for, you know what, we all learned something. And I learned that female ducks are just badass. Kobe says, have some guests. Now, Kobe, we've had guests before. And I know that I didn't link the podcast on the page because I didn't want to seem like I was just trying to push my podcast on everybody. Obviously, when this airs, I will post the link to the podcast on the page so that you guys can listen to the podcast if you want. But I didn't want you to go in with any preconceived notions or anything like that. We have had guests. I could not get a guest in such a quick turnaround. So that's, like, I get where you're coming from. Podcasts are a little bit more entertaining when you have somebody to talk to. But hey, I don't do this often. I don't do solo podcasts often. So if this is your first time coming along, rest assured that it will not be like this all the time. There's a lot of ums. There's a lot of blank spaces. There's a lot of me trying to just fill time and rambling, sort of like I'm doing right now. But we do have guests. We do have Jonny and me for the most part every week. And that's not going to change. So, yeah, just stick around. He did recommend that I had my mom on the podcast, which is just something that is never, ever going to happen. Mom, I love you. I just, I don't want to have my mom on the podcast. It seems like there might be a little bit too much dirt she's got on me. I don't really want all that out there. So anyway, appreciate that, Kobe. And yes, for all you guys listening, it is looks like Kobe beef or Kobe Bryant. It's Kobe. Talk about the reproductive habits of banana slugs. I was really interested in this. I have not looked it up yet. So let's look it up together. All right, and here we go. How do banana slugs... Oh, that's why. Okay, this is from scribble.com, which, again, I don't know if this is a legitimate site at all. I do really appreciate the subtitle that I saw. The title of the of the article is "The Bizarre Mating Ritual of the Penis Chewing Banana Slug." Oh God. Okay, this is gonna be good. Okay, let's see here. Slimy banana slugs need little introduction. Honored as the official mascot of the University of California, Santa Cruz, they can often be seen on huge roadside hoardings and printed on t-shirts. The second largest species of slug in the world, banana slugs live on the damp forest floors of the western United States. Usually bright yellow in color, the banana slug is a shellless mollusk which can grow up to 15 to 25 centimeters. Holy cow. So that's 5.9 to 9.8 inches in length. Banana slugs eat many different foods such as plants, rotting fruits, animal waste, blah, blah, blah. Most bizarre fact concerns their strange mating habit, where one slug chews the penis off its partner after finishing sex. Holy shit. Boy, that's a different kind of kink. Oh, man. I mean, we all like sausage, right? But this, it seems like you're taking it to an extreme here. So I wonder what the thought process is behind eating the penis off. Is it so that banana slug can no longer reproduce with another female, or is it like just so it, so so they can have some variety in the banana slug world, you know? Oh, okay. So it says banana slugs are hermaphrodites, obviously, so they have both sex organs. They can act as both male and female at the same time, and on rare occasions, even known to mate with themselves. Hey, that gives a new meaning to the phrase "fuck yourself," right? And I wonder if they chew their own dick off afterwards. Like, it makes sense if it's two of them, right? Because the one's like, hey, you can't fucking, spread your seed anymore. And the other one's like, oh, okay, I guess we're good. I guess I'll let you chew my dick off or whatever. But if they're putting it inside themselves and reproducing with themselves asexually, do they chew their own dick off? And what would the purpose behind that be? Are they just confused? Like, there's so much I want to know about this. Let's see here. Their Latin name is whatever that is, which means giant penis. The banana slug it sort of does look like a giant penis. I mean, it's too yellow, but yeah, I get it. Let's see here. It's a fitting name, too, as they do all have enormous penises, almost as long as their entire body length. Oh, wow. Whoa. So that's a meal. That is a meal. Maybe that's why they're eating it. They're like, oh, shit, I'm hungry. It's time. There's nothing else around. There's no rotting fruit, There's no animal waste. There's no plants around, But this dick's here, though, so I'm just munch on that. Nom. I wonder if they eat each other's dick, like a weird 69. Man, this went down a strange hole. Just a strange hole here. Which is what the banana slug has after the mate eats it. It's a strange hole. Let's take a quick second to talk about the sponsor of today's podcast, Audible. Head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled. We say it every week. Get that free 30-day trial and a free audiobook, guys. It's a great deal. And we're not one to just throw some shit deals at you. So head over and give that a look. The audiobook that I am going to recommend for the month of April, and this is no April Fool's joke, Me Talk Pretty One Day by David Sedaris. This is a 5-hour and 51-minute long audiobook, unabridged, of course. So David Sedaris is a comedian. This audiobook starts with a North Carolina childhood filled with speech therapy classes. My brother actually had to take that. Unwanted guitar lessons taught by a midget. So, I mean, okay. From budding performance artist to clearly unqualified writing teacher in Chicago, Sedaris' career leads him to New York City and eventually, of all places, France. His move to Paris poses a number of challenges. Chief among them is his inability to speak the language. I can relate. Arriving a spooky man-child capable of communicating only through nouns, he undertakes the language instruction that leads him ever deeper into cultural confusion, whether describing the Easter Bunny to puzzled classmates or watching a group of men play soccer with a cow. Sedaris brings a view and a voice like no other to every unforgettable encounter. So if that sounds like something that you guys want to listen to, sounds great to me. I'm probably going to check it out. I got 3 credits right now, and you best believe I'm using one of my credits on this one. So give it a listen, guys. If you don't want to listen to David Sedaris, and if you don't want to bang your elbow on the table like I just did, wouldn't recommend the second one. Definitely recommend the first one. But if you don't want to listen to that, there's over 180,000 different titles to choose from. That includes some Audible originals as well that you can get with your credit. So guys, take advantage of it. Really do. And we appreciate Audible so much for sponsoring our podcast each and every week. And we hope that you guys appreciate them as well. So let's get back to the motherfucking podcast. Let's see here. Another very strange fact about the banana slugs is that they mate on a thick layer of slime. Yeah, me too. Which they produce before the mating begins. Also me too. They often eat each other's slime. Okay. Perhaps in the process of getting to know each other. Yeah, I think everybody does that, right? Man, yeah, dating's hard, right? One might well wonder for hours about such a bizarre mating ritual. What if both slugs were to start chewing, for example? Obviously, would both end up penisless? That's what, I just brought that up. And it's true. Man. Well, I want to thank you very much. Who was that again? Fiona. Fiona, thank you so much for that topic. Man, I'm learning so many things now, especially about penises. So it seems like there's something about the internet that really just loves penises, and just sex in general. And hey, I mean, don't we all? Somebody else, and I don't have a whole lot of content on this, but Megan from the group wanted me to talk about the WWE, formerly the WWF, and their working conditions and the working conditions for the wrestlers themselves. There's a great last weekend tonight with John Oliver, or is it last week tonight? I can't recall exactly what it is, and I'm too lazy to look it up now. It's the John Oliver show on HBO, where he talked about this very thing. Very interesting. Wrestlers are contract workers, and I did not know that. I thought they were, they're contractors for the WWE, and they can be fired at any time. They can be there's if they're not able to work for I think within 6 weeks of any injury or whatever, they can be fired. There's, if they get injured while wrestling, the WWE is not responsible at all for their injuries, even if it results in death and is because of negligence of the WWE. They're not responsible for any injury, even if it's fatal. And I think that's fucked up. I did not know about all of this. I would really recommend you guys go watch that YouTube video. And John Oliver and his team do a really good job of explaining all of that stuff. And I have a different attitude towards the WWE after watching it. I did not know this was a thing. But I idolized wrestlers growing up. I mean, I was a huge fan of The Rock, and I still am, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Sting, and Mankind, and The Undertaker, and Kane, and all these people. I really idolized them, and I watched every Monday and Thursday, and my parents thought I was weird, and sister thought I was weird, and looking back, I can see why people thought it was weird, but it's entertainment. It really is entertainment, and I don't watch it anymore, but I do still see the need for it as a means of entertainment, because there's times, and this is nothing against the UFC, because the UFC is full of just monsters who are great at what they do, but I have a problem sometimes watching the UFC because they can bust themselves wide open and just be bleeding everywhere, and you can see the destruction that just happens. I've seen fights where both people are just bloodied up, and I'm screaming at the TV for the ref to stop the fight because it just seems like it's an unhealthy thing. And so I understand the need for wrestlers to give that sense of that excitement that comes from a fight without all of the gore. Now, that's not to say it doesn't happen in the WWE. Famously, Mankind, Mick Foley, he's known for completely throwing himself out there on the line and getting slammed on the thumbtacks and falling off of the cage and getting slammed through the cage and going through tables and taking chair shots. And there's tons of pictures and videos of Mick Foley just completely bloodied and just beaten to a pulp. But that's one guy, right? It's not every wrestler. It's not every fighter. It's not an outcome in every single match. Whereas with the UFC, it does happen often. And so it's I don't know. I like I said, I don't have a problem with the UFC. It's just sometimes it can be hard to watch when it gets to that point. Because I don't want anybody to get hurt, guys. I just don't want anybody to get hurt. So stop it. Don't do that. Be nice to each other, guys. Also, as I've already done, Jonny, a different Jonny on the group that I was just talking about, Just Fucking At Me Next Time, damn, on Facebook, he wanted me to talk about the group. So, hey, Jonny, I did it. Did it, bud. Talked about the group. Like I said, it's pretty much a meme war, filled with just a bunch of crazy people who I really can relate to. I found a group online that really fits well with me, and I think I'll stick around. I think I like it there a lot. Another person, Christoph, said, just record an hour or so of just me screaming for an hour. First of all, my lungs would completely implode on themselves if I tried to do that. But I do see the art in that. I think after a certain amount of time, people would be like, okay, I see where he's coming from. And this is, you know what? This is brave. This is a brave thing for, they'd have to get past the migraine and the incessant need to, throw their iPhone at whatever solid surface happens to be next to them. But once they got past that, I think they'd come to terms with it, and they would appreciate it. So maybe I do that. Maybe I do that here in a couple years, whenever the podcast is sort of teetering off, or if that ever happens. And I'll just release an hour of just me screaming, ah, okay? So hang out for that for, I don't know, at some point in the future, maybe, Christoph, okay? So that was for the group, the Facebook group. We had some questions on my personal page, on my own personal Facebook page, which, you guys wouldn't even be able to search me. I keep it locked down pretty tight. I talked about some more Uber stories. So Eric, your suggestion to do that was taken to heart. And you know what? You got 20 minutes out of that, buddy. Christopher wanted me to talk about minimalist philosophy. I feel like it's being a minimalist. I have no experience with, because I definitely have more than 100 things to my name. But I feel like there's a benefit to it, depending on what kind of life you want to lead, right? If you want to travel, if you have money to travel all the time, then yeah, having a minimalist philosophy will really work out for you. And I'm not a materialistic person at all, but I will say it's nice to have the ability to do something, even if you only do it every now and then, like a board game that you only bust out every now and again, or a video game that you play once in a blue moon, when you get a wild hair up your ass or something, it's nice to have those things at your disposal when you want to do something like that. So I don't know that the minimalist philosophy is my lifestyle or something that I would want to do. But I definitely see the benefit for a certain kind of person wanting to do it. I have kids. I've got 2 kids, and it would be very difficult to, force my kids to be minimalists since they have all this stuff. It's one of those things that you have to just, it's a lifestyle that a choice you have to make from the get-go. Goodness. So yeah, another thing, I don't know. It's just not for me. It's a minimalist. I could not subscribe to a minimalist philosophy. But there's a benefit for somebody, I'm sure. So thank you, Christopher. Andrea wanted me to talk about mental health. I mean, that's such a wide topic, and we've sort of discussed that a little bit, Andrea. If you want to go back a few weeks, it was with Jonny, and we got on a buddy of his who we sort of got into that with a little bit, just talking about mental health, and I think we also talked about it a little bit with my buddy Larry. So there's definitely some material out there for you in this podcast feed specifically that would sort of satisfy this desire to hear somebody speak on this topic. I you know what, all I'll say about it is mental health it's tough to deal with because sometimes people don't know what you're going through, and so I think it's important to be upfront with those who you love and those who care about you, and to always be willing to let others know where you are and how you're feeling, and find a confidant that you can talk to about those things. If you don't feel comfortable talking to everybody, or if you're worried about being judged, obviously there are hotlines you can call. I will pull that information up right now just so we can air that on on the podcast. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255. If you ever find yourself in a tough spot, in a low spot, feel like you can't talk to anybody, feel like there's no more options, there are. So please reach out. They even have an online chat option that I'm seeing here on Google. So absolutely, 100%. Reach out, get some help, and you know what? There are people out here that care about you, even if they maybe don't act like it, or they brush off your pleas for help or your cries for help, or maybe they just don't understand how to deal with it, or how to even see the signs. There are people who are willing to help you. So reach out and make it known that you that you have these issues. Because it's not good to bottle it up. Keep it inside too long, it starts festering, and then you get to a place where you feel like maybe there's no coming back, and you can always come back. Everybody likes a good comeback story, so yeah, reach out to him. Thank you, Andrea, for that topic. Terry had a couple different things to talk about. There are a couple of these that are pretty loaded, or there's one of them that is really loaded. There's a lot to it, so I think I'll save this one for a different time. I'll go with the easier one for now. We'll save the other one for another time, maybe next week or something. So the topic Terry brought up: frozen pizza versus homemade versus delivery. I feel like I don't make homemade pizza too often. My mom used to make it growing up. I remember her making homemade pizza. It was actually really good from what I recall. We don't do that too often. It's usually either delivery or frozen, or we go out and get pizza, which I guess is the same thing as delivery, just in a different location, right? So I obviously, out of these three, for what I would want to eat, I would probably choose delivery or carry out or dine in, whatever. because they're the pros. You know, they know what they're doing. There's a place in Independence, Missouri. If you guys ever come by, swing through the Kansas City area, it's just right there. It's called Square Pizza. It's in Independence. It's in the square for the like the quote unquote downtown area of Independence. It's by the courthouse and all that stuff. They have phenomenal pizza at Square Pizza, and it's a pizza in a square shape. That's why they call it that. So, but you know what? I'm going to go with delivery, carry out, dine in option. Nothing wrong with, excuse me, the on-cast. Nothing wrong with homemade pizza. Just a lot of prep, a lot of work that goes into doing it. And I don't know that I think I'd be over it by the time it came out of the oven. You know, I'd get bored and I'd eat something else. Frozen pizza is good in a pinch. We do it from time to time. But I think anytime anything is frozen, if it's not just like a whole food, if it's not meat, or if it's not like a vegetable or something like that, and you've frozen it, at that point it's processed, right? You know, it's just processed food. So it's inherently not going to be as good. But you know, I see the need for it. I see the desire to have something where you can go pick it up, come home, and have it ready in 30 minutes, you know, to eat. So, more yawns. They are coming in bunches right now. So, man, okay, this next one, I'm moving on. Thank you, Terry. The next one is top 5 Tom Hanks movies, then discuss whether they'd be better or worse with Hulk Hogan cast in the lead role. That's right, Terry Bollea himself in Toy Story. No, I have not compiled a list yet. This is from Dave. Dave, I wanna say thanks, bud. This is gonna be a fun one. So number 1, I have not looked up all of Tom Hanks' movies. Obviously, we all know he's been in a ton of movies. So I'm gonna IMDb him real quick. Okay. Probably starts with Splash, is my guess. That might not be the first one. I know it's not big. I'm trying to remember what his first acting role was. Going way back here. Let's see here. So he was in. Oh, was that his first movie? I think Splash might have been his first movie. That's awesome, dude. He Knows You're Alone. I don't know what that is. He played Elliot in He Knows You're Alone. So let me look at that. That was in 1980. Looks like it was a horror movie, I'm thinking. Yeah, let's see. I'm looking for Tom Hanks he must have been a kid or something like that. He must have played a kid or something. I mean, it was 1980. So he's a teenager, I think, in 1980. Gosh. Okay, so Splash was his big first one. That's awesome. 1984. All right, so there's Splash, Bachelor Party, The Man with One Red Shoe, Volunteers, The Money Pit, Nothing in Common, Every Time We Say Goodbye, Dragnet, Big, Punchline, The Burbs, Turner and Hooch, Joe versus the Volcano, The Bonfire of the Vanities, Radio Flyer, Tales from the Crypt, that was a TV series, League of Their Own, Sleepless in Seattle, Philadelphia, this is when we're getting to his bread and butter here, Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, Toy Story, man, gosh, let's see here, he was in Saving Private Ryan, You've Got Mail, all the Toy Story ones, Green Mile, Castaway, let's see here, Road to Perdition, Catch Me If You Can, the Terminal was a good one, Polar Express, Cars, The Da Vinci Code, and sort of Angels and Demons, sort of fallen off after that. He's done some spots here and there. I'm sure he'll pick it back up. Saving Mr. Banks, Captain Phillips. Let's see here. Man, he stays busy. He stays busy. Uh, okay, out of all his movies so far, my top 5, starting from the earliest one, I'm gonna go Big. I like Big a lot, so that'd be number 1. Let me write these down so I don't forget, because I'm gonna forget if I don't. I just know it. Let's see here. Drag that to the corner. Man. Okay. So 1 is Big. Number 2, I'm going to go with Turner and Hooch. Classic. Cop. Dog. Buddy. Comedy. Let's see here. Next up, I really like A League of Their Own. But is it one of his best? I'm going to put it down. Number 3, A League of Their Own. Okay. Next up, I'm going to say Forrest Gump. That's number 4. Now, some of you might be banging your head against your keyboard or banging your head against your iPhone or swearing this podcast off altogether because I'm skipping some. You know, that I can only pick 5. I have 1 more left. And so the one that I'm going to pick next is The Green Mile. Number 5. One of the best movies of all time. And that's not arguable. You cannot even argue it. The Green Mile is one of the best movies of all time. I put it up there with, The Shawshank Redemption. You know, I put it right up there with it, for the best movies of all, or best movie of all time. It's between those two. Gosh. Okay. So we have our 5. Number 1, Big. Number 2, Turner and Hooch. Number 3, A League of Their Own. Number 4, Forrest Gump. Number 5, The Green Mile. Those are not in any specific order of what I think the best Tom Hanks movie is and what I think the worst Tom Hanks movie is. That's just the top 5, right? That's just a list of the 5 most important movies, not in any specific order, because I'm not going to spend another 10 minutes deciding which one is the best and which one's the worst. Although I will say The Green Mile is the best. Okay, moving on. Would they be better with Hulk Hogan cast in the lead role? Okay, so with Big, obviously if you've not watched Big before, it's a movie about a kid who visits this carnival, and he visits this little I don't know, booth where you put in your 50 cents and you get a wish or whatever from the great Zoltan or whatever his name was. He's a fortune teller, right? So it spit out a fortune, and then, you know, hopefully it comes true. You know, it's one of those things. But in his case, it did. He wished to be big, right? He wished to be big. And so he did. He turned into a full-grown Tom Hanks. Now, would this movie be better with Hulk Hogan cast in the lead role? I'm going to say yes for this one. And mostly because not only are you going from a kid to Tom Hanks, you're going beyond Tom Hanks. You are superseding Tom Hanks, and you're moving on to Hulk Hogan. You're just jacked. The only thing is the male pattern baldness on top of your head, but you know, you do have the bandanas that you can put around the top of your head. So don't worry about that. You still got a sweet mustache. You're jacked as shit. You look like a hot dog. So what is there not to like? So yes, I'm gonna say Hulk Hogan as the lead role in Big would be better. Number 2, Turner and Hooch. I feel like this movie really displayed Tom Hanks' his comedic chops. It is one of his first movies. You know, obviously everybody remembers Hooch. You know, the dog. Everybody remembers the dog, and you know he's a fucking hero, and he saves Turner's life and all that stuff. Everybody remembers that. It's the little things that Tom Hanks does in that role that stick with you. I'm trying to remember specifics. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I know that I really appreciated Tom Hanks in that role. I gotta think Hulk Hogan in that role would be a disaster. Yeah, dude. Yeah, hooch, brother. Yeah, let's go down to the fucking gym and bust these guys, hooch. Yeah, dude. Can you imagine? God, it'd be awful. No. So, no, I'm keeping Tom Hanks and Turner and Hooch, for the sake of the movie. Number 3, A League of Their Own. So in A League of Their Own, Tom Hanks is a washed up baseball player who has been placed into a coaching position, who has a drinking problem, and he becomes, it sort of helps him out of that funk and getting into a better place. A League of Their Own is a classic movie as well, and I would hate to ruin Rosie O'Donnell's performance in that movie by throwing in an even louder person, Hulk Hogan. So I'm going to stick with Tom Hanks in A League of Their Own. Forrest Gump, we're just going to go ahead and say Hulk Hogan next. No, Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump is also a fantastic, phenomenal movie. I feel like there could be a couple spots where it'd be great to have Hulk Hogan in that movie, like when he's playing ping pong. Can you imagine Hulk Hogan just jacked playing ping pong? God, it'd be amazing. Side note, did you guys know that when they filmed that scene in Forrest Gump where Tom Hanks is playing ping pong against himself with half the table turned up and he's just hitting against the table, he's practicing? Did you know that that's all CG? It's a CGI ball. There's no ball there. It's Tom Hanks just whipping his paddle around, and then they just made it work. I think that's a funny thing to think about. Is just, I would love to see the roll, the B-roll where they just caught him just swinging his paddle around and there's no ball at all, but he's got to play like there is one. That's hilarious to me. Overall, I would say you gotta leave. I would like to see a version with Hulk Hogan in this movie. I think overall, I would still like Forrest Gump to be played by Tom Hanks, because everybody knows Forrest Gump. Nobody wants a sweaty, roided out hot dog man to play Forrest Gump. Although it'd be pretty sweet to watch, like, just an immediate transformation of Forrest Gump when he's a kid and he's running, run, Forrest, run. And he starts sprinting and then the braces snap. And then also simultaneously he goes through a Hulk transformation and he turns into Hulk Hogan. But that, like, would set the movie off into a different trajectory, so it wouldn't really be Forrest Gump anymore. It'd be like, I don't know. It would be like a shittier version of the Hulk, So, yep, Hulk Hogan. So it makes sense now. Oh, man. He was made for that role. And then the Green Mile. Okay, so the Green Mile's already got a big jacked guy in the movie. And so I'm not going to get into specifics with this because it doesn't seem like I need to in order to get my point across. I've already said this movie is one of my favorite movies, one of the best movies of all time in my opinion. So I say you don't mess with it. You keep the Green Mile, stick with Tom Hanks in this role. And, maybe you could have like a fight scene or something between Hulk Hogan and I can't remember his name. I know he's passed. But the big guy in that movie, maybe have like a wrestling scene or something between the two of them. I still think Hulk Hogan gets demolished in that fight, because he should, because this movie does not need to be changed. And so Tom Hanks sticks with the Green Mile. Thank you very much, Dave, for the question there. Boy, I love that one. And then, you know what? I'm over time. So I've still got another one that I could toss in there. I've pretty much talked about all of it that I've gotten so far. I know Jonny has some... Jonny's got some topics he didn't get through on his solo podcast. So maybe this coming week we can pool all of our questions that didn't get answered. If you didn't have anything, if you had a question that you submitted to either myself or Jonny and it didn't get answered, rest assured we will address them on the podcast. I can promise you that. And yeah, even if we only address it for like a half second, just to read it and then scoff or whatever, it will be brought up on the podcast. So you could even just ask us general shitty questions. Don't do that. Don't waste our time. But I mean, like I said, we are wanting to interact with you guys. So keep those questions coming in. And at this point, I will let you know how to do that. Please send any and all emails to jumbledpodcast@gmail.com. If you want the questions to come to me, send it to that. Jonny doesn't check that email account. He has the password and all that, so he could, but he doesn't. He checks johnny.jumbled@gmail.com, so make sure you send any Jonny-related questions to him specifically. Any questions to me to the standard jumbledpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on social media, that would be jumbledpodcast@gmail.com. Wherever you're listening to us is phenomenal. You can continue listening there. We're not going to remove any hosting platforms or anything like that. We are going to keep it how it is for now. So wherever you're listening, we're going to be there for a while unless they remove us, in which case let us know. But in any case, make your way back to iTunes and leave us a rating and review. It helps us out. It helps advertisers to see us a little bit easier if our ratings can jump up some. And it takes like 2 seconds. So please head over, leave us a rating and review. And you know what? If you leave us a rating and review, we'll shout you out as well on the podcast. We'll read some nice reviews that you guys have. So appreciate you guys for doing that. Please head over to Audible and check out what they have for your audiobooks. That would be audibletrial. I just blanked. Holy cow. audibletrial.com/jumbled. Wow, why did I blank so hard on that? Sorry, Audible. audibletrial.com/jumbled. Head over and check that out and pick a book out. You know, you got 30 days to pick whatever book you want. Hold on to the book forever. It's a great deal, and you get to learn more. Hey, maybe they got something about banana slugs on there. I would check it out. You know, what do you got to lose? You know, nothing. You got nothing to lose. Maybe they have corkscrew dick diaries by Mallard Duck recorded it. Who knows? Look it up, guys. And if you want to donate to our Patreon, that would be patreon.com/jumbled. Pay $500 and get us an address. Guys, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for sticking around. I can't believe this has been an hour and 15 minutes that I've been recording. It's phenomenal, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for submitting your questions. Again, if you want to send them on Twitter, just do hashtag AskJumbled. AskJumbled, and we will check that feed out from time to time, and we'll bring those ones up as well on the podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening, and next week hopefully will be a brand new episode with both myself and Jonny back in the studio together the way it should be. We appreciate you guys, and we will talk to you guys soon. This has been Jumbled, your favorite podcast about, I guess this one's about corkscrew dicks or just like really long banana slug dicks. I don't know. That's what I got. I'll see you guys later.